Shout out time. Here's a shout out just for you. You support me and I support you. This shout out is for our friends, BS Paranormal. And yes, we're doing this again because last time we didn't have sound. This time, hopefully, we'll have sound. We're doing a thing in June, so make sure that you check them out, like, share, and comment. Let them know that we sent you over, and please enjoy figuring out what we're doing. Hopefully, this time with audio. Thanks for those who came to the last one, lip reading contest. We appreciate it. Those are the true supporters. Those who stayed in for our silent premiere. I'm leaving it up. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's funny, especially through the comments. Have a good day.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of BS Talk. For the first time, I have another paranormal investigation team, TheBuddFiles. These guys have been like some of our most avid supporters. They go in, they watch our videos, they hit the like button, they subscribe to us very early on. And despite the fact that our Instagram channel has done pretty well for itself, our YouTube channel has yet to meet the same thing, but these guys have always been there to subscribe, comment, and I have invited them to join me for my paranormal investigation in a few weeks of the Villisca Axe murder house. So this conversation, while my cat's destroying the office behind us, is going to kind of introduce me to them on a more investigator note, them to me. We're going to discuss the plans for our investigation, if we even have any, and kind of what our vision is for the Villisca Axe murder house. So, Bud Files, would you guys like to introduce yourselves and what you do and how you do it, and kind of maybe even your channel? I'll put a link in the description below.
Well, my name is Sue. This is the bearded historian, Joe. And over here is our sometimes camera woman, Angel. What do we do? Anything and everything that entertains us. We've done graveyard. We started with graveyard walks, then we started doing investigations with the spirit box. We've recently started doing museums because it's summertime. If it looks interesting, we will check it out and roam.
Pretty much anything in western South Dakota is fair game as long as there's not a fence in front of it.
We halfway through this year, my husband came up with our tagline, which is "We are modern day archaeologists. We digitally preserve history." That way, if it's gone in a couple of years, you can still see it. We live in the Midwest, and the weather's really hard, and we see abandoned places, and they could be gone in a couple of years. Now they're not going to be gone. Now you can go see that house. You can go see that city. You can go see that ghost town.
There's a number of little places in western South Dakota, towns that might have a population of less than 5. And, as that generation passes on, there's nothing left. So, it's now wide open prairie. There's been a couple houses we've seen just in the last month that, you can see where there used to be a family that lived there. Nobody's there now. And so it's kind of fun that way.
So far, what's your favorite location?
Oh, that's a hard one. I would say, I think we had a lot of good success at the Bullock Hotel. And we just recently posted a small investigation at the Scenic Jail. We may have to go back to do that one in more detail, but we got a lot of K2 hits on that one. It was very, very active.
I enjoy going up to Gustav myself. There's a little tiny town up in Harding County, and one building, they all fell down. Gustav still has a cemetery, but this one house, from the pictures that we've seen of it before, it was a gas station, a post office, a general store, and house all in one, built up on 3 floors. And it, the outside of it is kind of a rainbow colored pattern. And then nearby, there's a church, which we think was still active. The school, you can see right through the school, so I don't think it's definitely not in use. But there's also several other older buildings out in that neck of the woods. And the thing is that house has been sitting vacant since probably the 50s. I mean, you can see where people probably have stopped in through there, transients or people, just passing through. But, it's an awesome looking house. And somebody left a cat toy in the basement.
Yeah, that was one of our cat balls. It rolled off the table. I set it on. And it was in a little crack where we couldn't get it. So
Souvenir. Yeah.
So how long have y'all been doing these paranormal investigations at the cemeteries, at these historic houses in these non-fenced in, as you said, areas?
I honestly, I don't consider anything that most of the things we've done as investigations, but we started in 21. He had been working in 2020. He was working at the census, and they were sending him all over the state, counting people, and he would send me pictures of abandoned places, cemeteries, and I'm like, I want to go. I worked from home. I couldn't go anywhere. So I said, I want to go. These cemeteries are perfect place to go because everybody's 6 feet away anyway, and they're dead. So it's a perfect place to go. And so in 21, I talked him into going, and we've been doing it since.
Yeah, 2020 actually, because it was towards the end of 2020.
We didn't post though until 21.
Right. But we were tinkering and looking before then to get the idea rolling.
Right.
So, but yeah, it was crazy because the government would give me these lists of addresses, and literally this one time when the computer spit out the addresses, it gave me like 6 cemetery areas in a row, just one right after another. And I'm like, okay, what's the computer trying to tell me here? Does it want me to go out and die or something? Because I mean, and the thing
It was from the government.
we will cover up the trail, and what's crazy is out here, a cemetery is like the last footprint of a town. We've been to a couple cemeteries that all that's left is the headstones. Cemetery. Yeah.
There's nothing else left.
We went to one place that used to be called Mason. Used to be is the key phrase there, because the general store is just a bunch of concrete blocks now. The church, it got hit by a tornado. So down the street, there's your cemetery. So we'll see St. Anthony someday.
And honestly, I did not think that we would get very many people when I started the channel. For the first couple of weeks, my daughter and I tossed around ideas for names. She finally helped us settle on the TheBuddFiles, because it's the buds and files of whatever interests us. Just like when we're doing research, you pull a file, anything can fit in a folder, anything can fit in a file. So it doesn't matter what we do, it fits our name. It doesn't limit us in any way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the best things I think about a name, is it has to be something that doesn't limit you, at least for us, because we have so many different interests between us that it has to be, something interesting like that. As for spirits, ghosts have always been a part of our world, always.
That's actually the perfect lead into the next question. I was going to ask you how you got your name. You answered that. The next question is, what is your perspective on the paranormal? Like, if you've seen my stuff, I'm while I do believe, and I was like pulled over to the believer side, especially last year, I still am very, very skeptical. Where do y'all stand in that way?
I am not the least bit skeptic. I mean, I don't believe everything is a ghost. I've seen a lot of fakers, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not. But I've seen too many ghosts to be even slightly skeptical that they exist.
My personal thing that I have a fun time with is, well, I've lived in Rapid all my life, 48 years. We have an Air Force base that used to be on the Looking Glass project, so that if we ever had World War III show up, guess what? This will be a primary target. But we also have the Black Hills National Cemetery, and the pull towards military vets, those that have passed on, it's really strong. And you can ask her a couple of times. I've gone to the Black Hills National Cemetery. I can't drive anymore. I got to stop and regather my bearings because literally,
nice.
no. It's like walking into a crowded room and everybody wants your attention at the same time. I'm like, guys, hang on here, one at a time. One of the times I was up in a town called Blunt, good name, and it has a huge cemetery with vets. And literally, they wanted to take the car for a ride. I was like,
yes,
guys,
please,
this is not good. I know you guys like modern toys, but please, I'm still human. I'm still alive. I prefer to stay that way. But so sometimes they'll, want to play with the fingers and see if I can drive it off the road or something. I'm like, no, I'll do that on my own time. Thank you.
So, do y'all both consider yourselves sensitive, or is it just?
Oh yes, very
okay.
sensitive. Our kids too. Our daughter is very, very sensitive. She picks up children. I tend to pick up children and teens. He tends to pick up vets. We're very, very, always have been very sensitive. Can see them, hear them, feel them. I joke, and I'm going to try to do it sometime this summer, that I could take his glasses, because he's legally blind, and have him find the vet graves in any cemetery that's flat. I say flat because, well, yeah, he can't see, and I don't want him to trip and fall, but I bet you he could find those graves without being able to see them.
It's kind of the running joke of the group, because the vets will start harassing her because they're trying to get my attention. At the same time, I'm talking to the little kids because they want to go talk to her, and she's ignoring them. So it's like, okay, you two need to switch places. For one of our fun little experiments on Easter, we actually went out and dropped off Easter eggs at kids' graveyards in a couple different places, up in Blackhawk, up in Piedmont. Granted, trying to lay Easter eggs out on cemetery markers is kind of hard in a 70-mile-an-hour wind. Don't recommend that.
It did not work out the way we thought it would, but it was fun, and we got some very interesting responses from the kids, and even the adults are like, "This is not a holiday we usually get people. What are you doing? Why are you here?"
Got to do something original once in a while.
So when you go to a place and you don't get that feeling, is that when you're like, okay, this place is not haunted?
I have not had that happen yet. Joe and I joke that we are literally haunted. We cannot go to a place and say it's not haunted, because we take people with us. We have a menagerie of spirits, so even if that place isn't haunted, by the time we get there, it will be, because they come with us. And if the place isn't haunted and we don't bring anybody with us, they'll be drawn to us because we're like ghost magnets.
So I guess that's a great lead into the Villiscax murder house. So we're going to investigate there in mid-June, about 4 weeks away. Have you heard or read or done any research on the Villiscax murder house?
No, this one is. He's a true crime person here. I'm obsessed with true crime, so I know.
And you're not joining us?
I am. She's doing the daytime. She's not sure about the nighttime yet,
Mm.
because she's not sure that she can handle the spirits at night, because they're going to be stronger in the evening.
I'm extremely sensitive, especially like the kids. And the Viscola has, what was it, like 3 or 4 kids that were killed in it, so it's going to be strong, especially at night. But as soon as you like sent the invitation to them and they were like, what's the Viscola Axe murder house, I immediately jumped up and was like, I know that place. I know the whole story behind it. It's amazing. And I've told them.
I told her she has to do our intro for that video, because neither of us have anything on that one, and so that's her intro. Joe usually does our intros because he's our historian, but in this case it's going to be her turn. her focus.
So just to give you a little bit of background, the Velasquez murder house goes back to 1912. In 1912, there was a family of 6 and 2 friends who were spending the night in this house. In their sleep, they were all bashed to death with a blunt side of an axe or a hatchet, except for one kid who was actually the killer used the sharp side, the edge. The killer then proceeded to go downstairs, smoke 2 cigarettes, and make himself breakfast.
Yay!
No one knows who did it, why it was done, or what motive there possibly could have been to do this. All 6 people inside of the house were killed. Of course, being 1912, we really don't have a way to solve it today because a lot of the evidence was just poorly managed and like DNA was corrupted and destroyed. The best like tangible evidence we had was either lost, damaged, or destroyed. So like there's no real way of knowing like who did what.
Right.
There are stories surrounding this house that it may not be ghosts in the house. It could potentially be demons. Because there was a story about 15 years ago, a man decided to test the spirits and jokingly pulled out a knife. And he said something came over him and he stabbed himself in the chest. He survived it.
Because he's a moron.
But he said he felt these things. Now, do you believe in the demonic? Do you believe in the angelic, or do you just believe in like human ghosts?
Angel, definitely. We always tell Angel, because she is so sensitive, that she has guardian angels. But demonic, I do think that there are some that exist, but I don't think that they're as common as people try to make them out to be. I think it takes a lot to compel a demon into the human realm, because I don't think we have as much to offer as, hell would. Hell's got all kinds of fun games for them to play. Why would they come play with us?
Because they
We're not
wouldn't
that
be in
interesting.
hell anymore. To me personally, I do believe in demons. Obviously, if you leave yourself open to, be affected, you're opening up a whole new can of worms. I do know that people, will try to put up wards, protection. I mean, even Zach Bagans had to go back to the church and get himself taken care of a couple times. There's some things you can work with. There's some things you don't want to play with. So I think a lot of it depends on if you're talking about a lesser demon or something that really wants your soul. So, that's where you're going to have some questions on what you want to play with.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're investigating the axe murder house, what are some of the things you want to do? What are some of the techniques you want to use? What are some of the tools you want to use to investigate? And what is something you want to try in this place that you may not have tried before?
The only thing I can think of that I wouldn't mind trying is I wouldn't mind trying the blindfold essence method, I think it's called, with the blindfold and the headphones. Haven't done that. Haven't had the courage to do that. I want to do it, but I don't know if that I can. But we don't really have methods. As I said, we don't really have to try to encourage spirits to talk to us.
Yeah,
so
we enter into a structure, and usually they'll, it's almost like a calling card. They're like, oh, well, we've been expecting you.
You guys can talk to us. You can see us. Here, we have a story to tell you.
So you guys will actually
use our K2 and our spear box and stuff like that. But go ahead.
I was going to say you two will be the first 2 sensitives or people with those extrasensory perceptions that I've ever worked with. So I've never actually worked with someone who identifies themselves as sensitive or believes that they have those abilities. So one of the curiosities I have is if there's something that you can sense or feel, or like, is it a sensory or a feeling thing, or is it like you actually can physically have a conversation with something? Because I don't really understand that process. Like, I don't. Uh-oh.
Depends on how strong the spirit is. And I can really, sometimes you can see them, sometimes you can feel them, sometimes you can hear them, sometimes you can do all three.
Also depends on things like clairaudience and whatnot. Because me, mostly with the spirits, I'm clairaudient, so I will hear them for the most part, like I do, like my deities and whatnot. And then, like she said, you know, you can see them sometimes. Again, there's like a range because there's some people who like have it more strongly with clairaudience, clairvoyance, etc. And again, it depends on, you know, how strong the spirit and everything is. Yeah.
But for us particularly, it's mostly audio, but we have seen them. We have felt them. They are a fact of life that we deal with.
Yeah, odds are good is you know, if we hear or feel something, one of the others is going to know about it because it's kind of a natural aspect. I mean, she can tell when I start having, you know, effects because all of a sudden I start getting a little different. Now Angel, you know, she might all of a sudden get really quiet on, you know, different things. Either that or she's just being a teenager. Yeah. Yeah. But it'll be fun. You're gonna be in for a treat. Bring some popcorn.
Have you ever had the opportunity to utilize a thermal camera?
No, we want to though.
I want one. I so want a thermal imager.
So I am going to be
So
bringing
want one.
mine. If y'all want to
Yes.
use it at some point, feel free to give it a go, give it a whirl. It's a lot of
That'll
fun.
be fun to play with. It's on my wish list, and I'm hoping to get it this year.
I've never caught anything substantial on it. I had a moment at a hotel in Florida where I was sitting on a bed and it felt like a small child climbed into my lap and leaned against me. Right before that event occurred, like my thermal caught like a cold air moving through the room. Like it went from that green color to blue, but it was so fast that like it was really hard to just pinpoint that is a paranormal event. It was just so quick. But I've really never caught anything that's like definitive.
Ask her about scenic and the K2 meter when I made the mistake of grabbing that rock. Although I won't call it a mistake. It was educational.
You know, you just watch that one.
Yeah.
I
I don't think I've ever seen a K2 meter light up that badly. It looked like a Christmas tree.
Actually, everything is usually very quiet. And so when it started going like this, I was like, okay, somebody wants to talk.
We visited a really old jail in the town, and Quartz has got a pretty good grounding point to that. But this little look at that, it fell through space again.
That happens when you hold the phone and you drop it.
Yes, it was an educational trip. And somebody just said, please come on, give me 5 minutes. Okay, pleasant guy though. He just was stuck.
So have y'all ever done an all-nighter before?
No. Closest we came is when we went to the Bullock Hotel. We were up. We did their ghost tour, and then we did investigation in our room, and we did the halls, and then I think about 1 or so in the morning we walked the halls there, but we did not do all night. We actually crashed it. I don't know, 2-ish.
Yeah,
we can certainly make it all night. It just isn't something we do very often beyond New Year's Day.
Well, one thing I want to make clear is everybody who is going to be there. So it's going to be y'all. It's going to be me. It's going to be another couple. Their names are Connie and Dennis. They're definitely more on the skeptical side, but they've also had a lot of years where they've gone to haunted places and just tried out things and had some wild things happen on the way.
Well,
they're actually kin to me.
Yeah.
They're kin to me. Like they're my wife's aunt and uncle. And so
Ooh,
like
fun.
when they found out I had spots available for Velisca, they were like, "Oh, can we join that party?" And I was like, "Sure." I did try to get another team to join us, but they declined. Having been there like 2 or 3 times, I think that all the foot traffic of the location has altered the paranormal experiences people are getting.
Mm.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because right now, like this is the first summer post-COVID and first summer without like social distancing and masks in like 2 years. So
Right.
everybody's jumping in and trying to get all these things, despite the economy tanking, you know. But like the huh?
Economy tanking? You mean 450 for a gallon of gas? Come on now, you know.
So like I think that having a house full with 3 different people, 3 different pairs or groups, if you would, and we're still not sure if Bradley's able to join me or not. We're still working that out. Like the answer is still kind of up in the air. But just like the 3 different perspectives, what I'm
Right.
hoping for in our investigation is that you'll bring something to the table that none of us will bring. Connie and Dennis will
Hopefully.
bring something to the table that we can't bring. And then I'll
Right.
bring something to the table that y'all don't bring. And hopefully
Right.
between all of that, maybe we can figure out what is there, what is haunting the space,
Right.
and what story is trying to be told.
I definitely agree. I think it'll be very interesting to see everybody's different
Perspectives on things.
perspectives and, you know, as you said, methods and ideas and, you know, disproving, proving, you know, tactics. Because we don't do a lot of disproving because we can't. We don't know what's us and what's them and what's not. So that will be something good for us to learn how to do.
All right. I guess final question is, Velisca Murder House. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes, as ready as we can be.
All right. Well, thank you for this interview. I've learned a lot about y'all. I am so excited for what's coming up in June. I think this will be a way for me to like experience new ways of investigating, maybe even learn a few new techniques off of y'all, and just like maybe even break out of my rigidity a little bit. Thank you so much for your time, your support, and links to your descriptions below. But would you like to tell the viewers where they can find you?
Type in the BuddFiles. We are the BuddFiles on everything: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. That's the one I was forgetting. I couldn't get what it was called for a minute. Honestly, TikTok is our biggest. We're almost at 1,000 on TikTok. Instagram is next, and YouTube is being mean, but we're almost at 500. Hoping to be at 500 by the time we do this investigation, so that we can have a community tab to share it on.
YouTube has been kind of the funny one because we were originally thinking it'd be great just to get to 100.
Honestly, when we first started, I thought we'd get 20. You know, maybe some local people for the history, maybe some people who like cemeteries. And we were almost at 100. I thought, oh my God, something's happening. And now that we're past it, I'm still looking at that number going, is this right? This cannot be.
Yeah, you know, like it's your energy. You guys bring so much fun and energy to your channel. Like you're just enjoyable to watch. And you know, I think that's kind of my issue is I'm a pretty rigid, monotone, like straightforward person, like no exciting dynamic personality like that. You guys are amazing.
Yeah, it just a lot of people comment on his history, and I'm just like, I've always told him he's one of the few people that I can listen to history and actually like pay attention because he makes it interesting. And you know, I thought that would be, I never thought that would be a draw, but scenery, which I don't understand what you people see in the scenery, but the scenery and his history are the biggest things we get in our comments. Don't forget to comment, everybody. It's important.
Of course, then you also have to get Angel's opinion on everything, nerd.
I tell her, everybody's a nerd in some way.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you all viewers for your support and your likes and subscribes. And as always, sleep tight.
Here's the door.